Hey everyone, welcome back to the channel. It's Ryan Rice. On this episode I cover the Torqeedo 1103 on the Nucanoe Unlimited. First time out, water testing, see how the battery lasts, and top speed. It's all going to depend on your setup. Everybody's going to have something different. And of course we get some fishing done as well. We can't come out without fishing. So this was our first trip out with the Torqeedo on the Nucanoe, and the Torqeedo, and in general for us, we'd never used one before. This was our first time. So I did have a few questions. Everything seemed okay, just had a few questions. So I called a good friend of mine, Chris Muzinski. He's down in Florida. He's been around the block quite a few times. He's got a lot of kayaks. He's got the Torqeedo. He has a lot of good information about the Torqeedo and all the kayaks that we all run. He has the Nucanoe, he has the Bonafides, he's got the Hobie PA angler like me. So he had a lot of good information, but I did a quick little phone call with him. I do play some of that conversation on this video, some things I can't play. But yeah, he answered a few of my questions about the reverse on this and top speed and stuff, which I hit him after the fact. We get a little bit of vibration on this setup with the Nucanoe EPS system, and he's saying it's because of the bracket here in the back. Let me get this out of the way. The bracket there in the back, it's not as stout as the actual Torqeedo where you have the the 4 mounting points. It just kind of sits on the transom. So I did get a little vibration when I was running full speed on this, and I want to see if that was normal. He says, yeah, it's just the mount, it's normal, and answered a few other questions. So it was a good conversation. He was able to go down to ICAST this time, so he filled me in on a few little things because I couldn't make it this year. But let's get into this video. Let's see how we do on the water test here. Let's see what Chris had to say about the Torqeedo, and let's see what I have to say about the Torqeedo. Let's get on with it. So it's like so smooth. It's an instant start and it's super quiet. So far it's accurate. I mean, just putting on the throttle just a little bit, I'm at, right now I'm doing 2.7. I'd have to be, pushing my fins a lot on the Hobie just to get to 2.7. I mean, this is great. It's definitely a great setup here. This foot control steering is very smooth. The location of my foot is actually pretty decent for the length of the cable. It could probably be a little longer for me, but it's actually good because it gives me a stable area to rest my foot on. So smooth and so quiet. So I just got the throttle just a little bit right now, and I'm doing 3.5, and it's matching up with my Garmin GPS. So it's definitely accurate with the GPS tracking on the battery. I mean, this would be me at this speed, just pushing with my fins, not hard on the Hobie, but I mean, I'm doing no effort here. The foot control steering is definitely very smooth. No hiccups yet. I mean, it's my first time out, a couple minutes on it, but it's super smooth. I press forward, I go right. I press down, I go left. So it's working right away. There's no lag in the response, and we haven't even pushed this thing yet, so let's get on pushing it. I have no scupper plugs in here yet. That's one thing I may have to add yet on this, is the scupper plugs. I can see the water draining out, but we may have to add some scupper plugs. I did bring, looking behind me, I did bring 3 with me, so I may have to add some scupper plugs. So of course, coming out, I have to bring my gear. I wanted to test it with all my gear, and of course I'm gonna go fishing while I'm out here. So this is gonna be a mixed video of throughout the day, how the battery lasts, how this whole new setup is for me while I'm fishing. I don't have my anchor wizard on here right now because I'm actually gonna make a custom bracket. That's gonna be another video off the back instead of the front. And the reason why I had to do all this setup with the foot control steering, getting the shorter cable, which I'm going to link the video to the install this at the end of this video, but with the shorter cables, because this is all set up for the tandem, this way I could go tandem with my son. So I needed the shorter cable. I can't have the anchor wizard off the front just because when my son's in front of me, I don't want to interfere with him, so I need everything off the back. That's why I'm going to make a custom bracket that's going to fit back there. But with the anchor wizard originally, the way it's sitting on the back on the track, it's going to interfere with the motor. So I'm going to actually make a bracket. I got some black PVC flat plate, and I'm actually going to offset the anchor wizard in the back, and that should work just fine. So I'm going to make a little custom plate. I'll do a video of that when I make that video, actually when I make that plate to show you guys. So let's go along for the ride. I'm going to update you guys throughout the day where my battery life is. Right now it's at 100, and I'm doing 4.2 miles per hour. I got to change a couple settings for my miles to range. Right now it says I got 27 kilometers to empty, so I'm going to change that to miles, and we'll be on our way. We're going to do some fishing and update you guys throughout the day. I'm going to check out the reverse on this and all that stuff and keep you guys posted. So we took this, the transducer out of the water just because it was making a bunch of splash. We are taking on quite a bit of water when we go full throttle on this. So I'm gonna have to add probably some scupper plugs, but let's kick it into gear because I know I'm pretty safe here as far as depth. You do have to keep your foot on the foot control steering because if you don't keep your heel down, it wants to kick to the right. I mean, we've got quite a bit of chop here and we're doing about 5.8. And I think that may be our max, 5.8 on the Nucanoe Unlimited. The way I have it set up, I'm not sure if I need to lower the motor at all. I think we'll be all right where the motor is, but we were definitely doing about 5.8 is probably our max. You know, set up the way it is, where I'm seated, but it's instant. I have a little bit of vibration right now, so I don't know if I need to lower the motor just a tad. That'll be decided yet. You know, if I had a flat calm condition, I guarantee I could definitely get over 6. I got the wind pushing me from, you know, from my left to my right, you know, so I know I can definitely get over 6, but 6 is the fastest I've ever been on any kayak, so it's great. And once again, it's effortlessly, you know, as I get it, you know, adapted to this setup, I'll get better at controlling it, get a little bit more comfortable as I'm controlling it, and I can probably push this even faster, you know, in certain conditions. But right now we're going to stay in the chop with the wind blowing left to right. We're going to get about 5.8 as I have the kayak set up right now. So we're going to check out the reverse here. Super quiet. I mean, I wouldn't go fast in the reverse, but just to get back off, you know, a bank or whatever, keep myself positioned because the wind's pushing against my back right now. Still super smooth. It's instant response. You know, and kick myself forward here. It moves nice and easy. Let's get on a little bit of fishing today, and we'll update you where our range is. Right now, it's saying at the speed I'm going now, my range is about 27 miles. We're definitely going to be able to cover a lot of water here. You know, with the foot control steering, it still gives me my hands-free fishability. Super smooth. You know, when you got a chop like this, you got to keep it in gear to keep your boat position. I got fish jumping around me, but I don't think it's bass. So at about 1.5 miles per hour, it says I have a 55-mile range. So that's a nice range of just cruising along here, you know, covering some water, casting. You definitely have to keep your battery, not like, you know, you can't hide your battery underneath the hatch. I'm not sure, maybe you can, but you got to keep the battery kind of clear, or at least to the sky, so the GPS can see it. And it'll let you know, it'll tell you it's searching for the signal if it can't see the satellite. So if you have the battery underneath the hatch and you're having a problem and it's not working through like the plastic itself, you just got to bring that battery out so you know what your range is, because that's gonna be very important. You're gonna want to know what your range is. You're gonna want to know how far you can go and what you have left for the day, because you don't want to be, you know, 10 miles away from the boat ramp and you got to paddle back with all this gear and weight and have no motor. Keep an eye on your battery, keep an eye on your percentage, how far you can go. This way you don't have to this way you don't have to paddle that far back or get towed back. I do feel like I have an advantage now running from gators more than I did before. One time I've had a gator lunge at me. This wouldn't leave me alone. You know, I was also hanging out there fishing because that's where the fish were. So I was kind of in his area or her area and kept on getting closer. It got really, really close, probably about within 20 feet. And it was like an 8 to 10 footer is basically what I could tell by the head and when the body lunged out of the water. But I spun my Hobie around, I started pushing those fins. I had the Bixby then, and I put that Bixby in full throttle and that thing lunged at me. It got really close. This, I feel like now, I hit this thing full throttle, I feel a bit more safer, that I have a little bit more oomph to get started right away, and instead of waiting for that Bixby to ramp up when you're pressing the speeds up to 12, which now they changed. They have a button now to get you the full speed, which I'm glad they did that, and pushing the fins. But at least with this, I could just hit the throttle and I'm gone. Just like that. Feel a little bit safer now. Definitely turns super sharp. There's like no long super turn to it. It definitely, if you got to do a sharp turn, you know, even just doing a little bit of throttle here, it made that turn very nice. You know, changing from the Hobie to the Nucanoe as my full-time kayak, do I miss the Hobie? For one factor, the fins are nice. I will say having the fins, you know, having those to be maneuvering as you are, you know, positioning, especially fighting the wind all the time. The motor's not a big deal, you know, having the Torqeedo, to use that to position yourself, but you're always, you know, moving the throttle, you know, and got to do that kind of stuff. But yeah, the motor just kicked up on me. Foot control steering, they didn't say anything about having an extra cable there to hold you in reverse, but I could see for sure when you go to put it in reverse, you're gonna want to do it slow. Seems like it doesn't kick out too easily, but it will kick out. Ease into that reverse like I'm doing right now to hold myself steady. But I think if you do it fast, Yeah, it kicks out. So, all right guys, fish on. Pull him out of the weeds. He's got a little bit of fight to him. Not super huge though. Getting in the boat here. Had a little bit of fight to him now. I'm gonna say probably 14 to be safe. Hey guys, 14. On the motor with my right foot instead of my left foot, so it's not too hard to like kind of pivot in your seat and fish on this 360 seat from Nucanoe, and steer with your right foot as well, so you don't have to just keep your left foot on the steering itself. A couple of cardinals there flying by. All right guys, fish on. Another small one. Another small little guy. All right, relax there. Relax. My goodness, really? He just wants to hook me, doesn't he? That's a cute little guy now, isn't it? Get away from the tree here. So what do you think? Probably about 9 inches there. It's a little calmer right over here. We're actually going to do another full throttle test. I pulled up my transducer already, so let's see. I'm going to get my phone out, do a little recording on that too. All right, let's go full throttle again. All right, we're at 5.9. We're actually on plane quite a bit. So it seems about 5.9 is going to be our max on this Torqeedo. I'm sure if I got it, you know, with the wind, with the current, I could definitely get it up to 7. But you know, almost being at 6 is pretty impressive, especially with my big butt on here. We're actually able to turn pretty tight with this. Pretty tight. And it's probably 15-foot radius maybe. Changing directions. Pretty tight, you guys. If you look really closely right there, you can see an arrow indicator. Let me see this little arrow indicator right there, and there's this hash, almost like a line going across this. That's telling you that the motor is pretty much straight and true with the boat. I think I'm off just a hair, but that pretty much tells you that you're running straight. So at least you have that indicator on the foot control steering where your motor is, you know, in relation to your boat. So when it's lined up with that hash mark, it's running straight with the boat. There you got another little guy here on the drop shot. We're fishing deeper, but man, still small fish. Still small fish. He thinks he's bigger than what he is. But it should be measurable on the board, at least for a knucklehead. Let's get away from the shallows here, away from the trees. Get this guy measured up. Give ourselves a little room. That one's really pushing us around today, guys. You can see how quick that response is on the throttle. Once he relaxes his tail, looks like we got about 12 3/4. All right, guys, 12 3/4. So what we're doing now is we're texting a good friend of ours, and he's got the Nucanoe with the same setup actually, and he also has a Hobie too as well. So we kind of have the same kayaks, and I'm actually gonna see if he's up. I want to question him about this reverse and see what his thoughts are. I think I already know the answer to it. I think he just got to ease into it with this foot control steering from Nucanoe. He says, yes, sir, rarity for me to sleep past 6. So let's give him a call.
What's up, Ryan?
Not much. I'm out here testing the Torqeedo today. And I know with this foot control steering, obviously if you pop it really hard into reverse, the motor pops up. Is there any other kind of way, or that's just how it is? You just got to ease into it, or is there any kind of like...
Yeah, you just got to ease into it, that EPS system. Otherwise, yeah, exactly. Kicks it straight up and you do a rooster tail and everybody gets wet.
Yeah, that's what I kind of figured, because I know it has like a breakaway built into it almost in a way, and at the same time, it kind of keeps it in place. But that's what I kind of figured, because obviously if you put a cable around it or something around it, you're not gonna be able to pull it up when you go to shore.
Exactly. And I will say it's pretty stout. I was talking to Jeff Wednesday, because when I took mine out, I went straight to the salt, and I was like, hey, what paint do you guys use on the aluminum or recommend? And he just stares at me really funny. He's like, no, leave the scars. I was like, no, I was fishing oysters on the first day I got the damn thing, and she's pretty gnarly. He's like, yeah, leave it. I was like, damn it, Jeff, I want to paint it. And then the gentleman from Innovative, he comes over and he's like, use rhino liner. Thank you. Thank you.
Yeah, there you go. That'd be really good.
But yeah, it just kicks up straight in reverse if you punch it hard.
But I'm definitely gonna get down the Fish yet. So how'd you make out there? I see that there's really not much as way as kayaking there this time.
It was okay, to be honest with you, for the kayak thing. This wasn't a whole bunch of new stuff, but as kayaks go, they were represented very well. That bonafide skiff has my heart right now. Pelican and Wilderness, they had some cool stuff over there, and that Old Town E-pedal. I will say the coolest reels that I saw, bait casters, those were amazing. All one solid piece of aluminum. Made for salt and made for fresh and all that. The Hundo 100 was the only one that actually was, decent size and not size of a softball.
Yeah. And
the new Daiwa Tatula, I had to drag Chad over there at the end of the day. I was like, bro, check this out. And we were all geeking out on it. The ergonomics they came out with that new Tatula 100 were insane. So I probably got to snag one of those. But overall, the kayak stuff was pretty damn well represented. Yak Attack had a killer booth. Even Torqeedo, man, they had 4 different types of kayaks out there. Jeff brought in a Crescent, one of the Nars, the Osprey, one of the Rivers, RVRs.
Okay.
So they had everything decked out on those. So it was pretty good representation everywhere. Well, Ryan, man, kill them. And we'll talk to you soon, bud.
All right, thank you.
Later, man.
All right. So there you have it with the reverse. Just talk to somebody who has what you have and who's had it for a little bit, and it kind of give you an explanation. So basically, you just have to ease into the reverse with this, and just don't hit it hard, and you'll be fine. So here's the update. We are 3 hours in the fishing, and I'm at 82% battery. All right, so we've been fishing for about 4.5 hours. We got the battery at 68%. I drove back and forth a few times, about half to 3/4 throttle, did some full throttle runs. I think what we're going to do now is we're going to run about half to 3/4 throttle for about half an hour to 45 minutes, see where the battery life will be after that, and it'll kind of give us a thought of if we're going to cover, a good portion of the water after about 4.5 hours, where we're at with the battery here. So we're at the tail end of our 45-minute run. Battery's at 50%. Right now we are cruising at 5.3 and we're using 690-ish, 700 watts of power. So after fishing for the day and doing our test at the end there, hopefully you can see the screen, we're at 46% left of the battery. Now that's after 5 hours of fishing, about 4.5, 5 hours of fishing, and about 45 minutes of running 3/4 to half throttle and going in the wind and through the wake. So you can see here with the EPS, if you haven't seen that install video, I'll put that at the end of this video. But you can see it's a cable that runs back, and you have the mount from Nucanoe that mounts to the transom. And the only thing I may change on this yet is, I think right here is I'm going to mount another eyelet, or I'm just going to, well, yeah, I'll probably mount another one. I'm looking here. Actually, I'm probably going to put one here, keep this one, and add one more, and add the pulley system here to just give a little bit more ease to pull this motor up. It's not horrendous to put it up, but it could definitely use a little bit more help pulling back with this plastic pulley here from Nucanoe that they have mounted on this Unlimited. So all in all, it was a good conversation with Chris. Our first day on the water with the Torqeedo. We put it through its paces. You know, we drove more than we fished, so that's not obviously normal for most of us who are going out fishing. But after all said and done, I was at what, 47%? So I probably think I covered about maybe 8-9 miles total of going back and forth, just testing the Torqeedo out and doing some fishing. We caught a few fish too, a lot of small ones still. But you know, today was more about testing the Torqeedo more than anything. It was good that we got that information from Chris about the reverse. That kind of answered my question on that and answered the question for you guys as well. And I kind of figured that it was just based on, there's like a little ball mechanism here at the back of the mount here that sits right in here. That's like the breakaway. So if you hit a stump, it breaks away, and that's where it also sits. So you just got to ease the, you know, ease the reverse when you got to go back so it doesn't pop out. I popped it out a few times just to see where, you know, where I had the throttle when it would pop out. So just got to ease into it. You get used to it. It's not a big deal. The foot control steering is great with the EPS system from Nucanoe. I just need to add a few of those parts to make it, you know, retracting the motor just a little bit easier and not rubbing on the Blackpack Pro. You know, when I'm with my son, I'm not going to have that Blackpack Pro anyway. That really won't be in the way, but I'll leave the setup the same. Battery on this thing is, I think, is great so far. So for a day of fishing for me, even if I do 8-9 hours, I'm probably going to come back with still 50%, if not more. You know, it seems like when you are just sitting around fishing and just have that throttle just at ease to keep, you know, keep your position with the wind, etc., it's like using no power. It's the only time you lose the battery is when you go from spot to spot. But when you go there and you just kind of hang out and just fish, the battery doesn't drop anymore. So it kind of definitely maintains the percentage. It's accurate. We had no problems, anything. There was no flaws with anything today. Just like I said, just the setup I want to change a little bit with the retract on that. So overall, it was a great first day out. Would I recommend this already to people? Absolutely. You know, I like the Torqeedo, I like the Bixby as well, but that's on the Hobie. So you got the fins to help you along with that, and this helps you get from point A to point B. The motor on this, the Torqeedo, is our primary propulsion now on the Nucanoe. And if you guys have been following along and been listening to me, the reason why I got the Nucanoe over the Bonafide or anything else is because of the tandem setup. I was looking for another kayak anyway that not have all the fins and all that stuff like we have on the Hobie. I'm not bashing Hobie. You know, it has its pros and cons. You know, the Nucanoe has its pros and cons, but I'm happy with both. There's not really much more to cover right now. Now, when I go out tandem with my son, obviously I'm not gonna be pushing this thing fast because I wanna be safe and everything, but when I'm out with him and I got him kind of pinned back in his seat and I'm maybe holding on to him, I'll push this a little bit and just see, you know, where we can get speed-wise. I probably still won't take it to full throttle, but, you know, being this is for the tandem setup and my son's only about 50 pounds, it ain't gonna make much of a difference anyway. So it's gonna get us around. We're gonna go fishing right now. I'll be lucky if I'm on the water with him for 2-3 hours anyway, just because of the heat. When it gets a little cooler, maybe I can get him on the water a little bit longer. Plus he's 5. It doesn't take long for somebody at 5 years old to get bored. You know, this is the main reason for getting this kayak, is to take my son out, start that other playlist, you know, Fishing Adventures with Jared, to help, you know, our next generation learn how to fish, and, you know, have kids be able to enjoy a fishing show with another child their age to watch. So I think this will be kind of cool. We need to get out more already with him, but, you know, we got a trip coming up first week of August, so I'm gonna be out every day. I've taken a week off of work. We're gonna be doing a lot of saltwater fishing, so I can't wait to get him on a redfish or a trout. He'll love that. And we'll be pushing this through its paces with the saltwater too. You know, the main thing is with this foot control steering and the, you know, it's basically threads with nuts on each end. I have that installed video, like I said. I would just make sure those nuts are always tight. And the nuts I'm talking about, there's one in the front and there's one right back here, this little nut. You know, make sure those things are tight. You know, keep your ball where the ball thing here mounts. I'll show you here in a minute. You know, where this thing comes on and off, I would definitely keep, you know, some WD-40 on that, some lubrication. You know, and just always check your fittings before going out. Make sure everything's tight. This way you don't have a problem when you're out in the water and lose a piece of this or it breaks on you and then you're stranded. So, you know, just keep maintenance on this EPS system. It's gonna be minute. You know, you're going out in salt water, just keep it rinsed off. I mean, you know, and just keep some WD-40 on it and some lube basically, and just do your simple maintenance. The Torqeedo itself, Jeff has a video on that, how he takes the prop off and shows you how to keep the line clean out. I think it's a 17 millimeter socket to get that prop off. Just go behind that prop every now and then and check everything, and make sure you have no fishing line behind it, etc., and keep it lubed up as well. His video shows doing all the fittings on the Torqeedo, like where the pins make connection with the battery. Don't use dielectric grease. He shows using WD-40, so you want to make sure that you just keep those clean. He takes a little soft bristle brush, cleans up those fittings, you know, because you don't want to bend those pins at all, and just basically douses it with WD-40. So he keeps it kind of clean with that. And just do your simple maintenance and you'll have years and years of no issues with the Torqeedo, you know, motor, basically, if you just do that simple maintenance. So I'll keep updating you guys with the Nucanoe as I do a couple little other things I'm going to do to it. I'm going to do separate videos for those. I got the navigation lights to put in. I got the anchor wizard to put back on, which I'm going to do my own mounting plate in the back, because I want it in the back just because my son, you know, sits up front and I don't want that in his way. I don't want anything from the trip on, so I want everything behind him and behind me, so when we're out tandem wise, everything's out of the way. That's really it, guys. Once again, I hope you guys like this video. I will keep you guys updated, and we'll be doing a full walkthrough once I'm done with all the parts and pieces on this Nucanoe coming up, and doing a full walkthrough for you guys. So as always, guys, be safe on the water, and I'll catch you guys on the water. Thanks for watching. See you soon.